So, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick off today with some updates on the Boston Marathon. Now, as you may remember from last week, we had Cade Crockford from the ACLU of Massachusetts on, and we talked about how Boston's police commissioner, Ed Davis, said that he would like to see drones flying over Boston for next year's Boston Marathon. How wonderful, right? How wonderful of a thought to have drones flying over Boston. Well, not to be outdone by Boston, ladies and gentlemen. New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg and his police commissioner, Ray Kelly, have also ratcheted up their fear-driven surveillance game. Let's start with Michael Bloomberg specifically. We're going to play a clip here from CNN of Mayor Bloomberg talking about how we should respond to the Boston Marathon bombings. Take a listen to Michael Bloomberg.
And the people who are worried about privacy have a legitimate worry, but we live in a complex world where you're going to have a level of security greater than you did back in the olden days, if you will. And our laws and our interpretation of the Constitution, I think, have to change.
Oh, where to begin, huh? Well, actually, I forgot. Earlier in his talk there, he actually began by saying, quote, "We live in a dangerous world. We know there are people who want to take away our freedoms," end quote. And one of those people who want to take away our freedoms is apparently Mayor Michael Bloomberg. You gotta love the logic. There are people who want to take away our freedoms, so instead of letting them take away our freedoms, we're gonna take away our freedoms. Ha 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 ha! In your face, you supposed freedom-taking people, you. We're gonna take our freedoms before you can and flush them down the toilet so you can't get them. It's nice. It's nice that at least Michael Bloomberg says that those who worry about privacy have a legitimate concern. Yeah, at least he's admitting that we have a legitimate concern. But hey, he says we live in a complex world. It's not the olden days. So that means you just better get used to, constant surveillance, drones, and the police state. He actually said, you heard him, that our interpretation of the Constitution has to change. That's a pretty radical thing to say, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very radical thing to say. Change to what exactly? Which freedoms does Michael Bloomberg want us to give up? Which rights does Michael Bloomberg want us to give up? We have to change our interpretation of the Constitution. Are you at least going to let us debate that change? Are you at least going to let us, discuss that change? Or are you just gonna take the rights away, take them away, and let us know later after you've done it? Bloomberg also said this. He also said this, quote, "You're never gonna know where all of our cameras are," end quote. How the hell is that for creepy? You're never gonna know where all our cameras are? You'll never know. They might be on the corner. They might be in the sky. They might be looking up your skirt. They might be in your bedroom. You will never know. Who says something like that? He also went on to say, quote, "That's one of the ways you deter people. They just don't know whether the person sitting next to you is just somebody sitting there or a detective watching," end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Michael Bloomberg has gone full Orwell. He's done it. He has gone full Orwell. He has gone full 1984 here, people. He has become a 1984 cartoon version of a big city mayor. But it'd be funny if it wasn't actually happening. It'd be funny if it wasn't affecting people. And the truth is he's not alone. He is not alone. Mayor Bloomberg's New York City police commissioner, or as Bloomberg calls the NYPD, his private army, his police commissioner, or I guess army commandant, if you want to say, his commandant, Ray Kelly, recently said, quote, quote, the privacy issue has really been taken off the table, end quote. He actually said that, folks. He actually said the privacy issue has been taken off the table. Let me just take a minute to ask, who in the hell is he to tell us that the privacy issue is off the table? Who in the hell does he think he is? Just decreeing that to us. Ray Kelly, you are the commissioner of one city's police force. Granted, it's a police force that's responsible for all types of horrific racist abuse, be it stop and frisk, be it illegal surveillance of Muslims, be it the pepper spraying and arresting of Occupy protesters. A police force is supposed to serve the community, not spy on the community. Let's not also forget the obvious thing that actually has to be said again and again, that surveillance cameras and drones or whatever would not have stopped the Boston Marathon attack. It wouldn't have. It didn't. There already were surveillance cameras there. Surveillance cameras would not have stopped 9/11 from happening. It wouldn't. It didn't. There were surveillance cameras in airports. If someone is to the point that they are willing to commit a heinous, despicable, violent act, a camera is not going to stop them. It's not. One thing there again, we need to remember about this, and this isn't the only motivation, but this is something to remember. The LA Times reports that surveillance is, as of 2012, a $9.6 billion a year industry. And this is before the Boston Marathon attacks. The industry was forecast to grow to $20.5 billion a year by 2016. $20.5 billion by 2016. That is a lot of money, and that was before the Boston Marathon attack. But, hey, if one city's police commissioner says that privacy is off the table, and again, the NYPD has actually left New York for spying. They spied on people in New Jersey and Maryland and all over the East Coast. If one city's police commissioner says privacy is off the table, well, then I guess it is. If the mayor of one city says we have to reinterpret our Constitution, well, I guess we have to. Speaking of reinterpreting the Constitution, it was heavily reported that the second bombing suspect was initially not read his Miranda rights when he was arrested, which is bad. But eventually it was reported that he was read them on Monday morning when a judge came to the hospital to arraign him. However, the LA Times is now reporting that it's actually worse than him just not being read his Miranda rights. How worse? Let me explain. Reading from the LA Times, quote, a senior congressional aide said that the second alleged bomber had asked several times for a lawyer, but that request was ignored since he was being questioned under the public safety exemption to the Miranda rule. The exemption allows defendants to be questioned about imminent threats, such as whether other plots are in the works or other plotters are on the loose, end quote. Okay, so we've all heard about this. That's what the public safety exemption thing is supposed to be. Are there other bombs planted? Do you have accomplices out there waiting to detonate other bombs? In previous instances, when this, extreme use of this rule, this public safety rule, has been used, it actually doesn't take that long, okay? The most famous case is the underwear bomber. You remember him, right? The underwear bomber. The underwear bomber had the public safety exemption used on him, but it was only for 50 minutes. Okay, that's how long the questioning took before they read him his Miranda rights. The alleged Boston Marathon bomber was apparently interrogated under this exemption for over 16 hours. Okay, so he was arrested on Sunday night. He was eventually charged. He was arrested Friday night. He was eventually charged Sunday night, and he actually wasn't read his rights until Monday morning. But in that time, he was interrogated for over 16 hours. Again, while he was in a hospital bed with multiple gunshot wounds, including one to his throat, he was apparently communicating he was writing his answers down on a pad of paper. So during that time, the LA Times reports that he repeatedly asked for a lawyer, but was denied a lawyer. I'm sorry, folks. Look, I know this dude is allegedly a monster, and again, but I'm sorry, that's friggin' horrible. That is horrible. Look, remember this. On Saturday, the day after he was caught, the police chief, the DOJ, the mayor, the governor, they were all saying that they believed that the brothers acted alone and that there were no additional known threats. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to the city. Let's get out there and get back to our normal routines. That's what was being said on Saturday. That's what they said. If that was the case, that all these people were saying that, if they were all saying, then clearly, the public safety exemption does not apply because they were saying there were no further threats at that time. But that was on Saturday. They still continued to question him without his rights well into late Sunday night. They continued actually after they officially filed the charges on Sunday night. They actually did it after the charges were filed Sunday night and into Monday morning when a judge eventually came to the hospital to read him his actual rights and actually get the charges filed. And look, here's the deal. Look, even if you aren't read your Miranda rights, you actually still have them. See, the Miranda is actually just the reading of the rights. You know, the thing that you see on Law and Order and in all the cop movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney, chung, all that stuff, right? The thing is, those rights exist outside of the reading of them. That is why they are called rights. You do have a right to an attorney. The bombing suspect, again, reportedly asked for one again and again, and they denied him this right. He's an American citizen who did a crime on U.S. soil. They denied him his rights there. And look, you know what? Look, let me just take a minute to say here, God damn all you bastards for making me defend this friggin' monster who detonated a bomb in my city. This is my city. I friggin' live here. I am so incensed about this. You have no friggin' idea. Damn you for denying this man his rights and making me friggin' defend this horrible human being. Seriously. How dare you do that? How dare you make me have to do this? Especially because it appears that there's an abundance of evidence there to convict him without actually violating his stupid rights. Why the hell are you shredding the Constitution where you already determined there was not an imminent threat? You're not friggin' Jack Bauer. This is not 24. And this loser, this scumbag, evil loser bomber, he's the one that's worth violating our Constitution over. He's the one worth tossing aside our nation's civil rights, our nation's civil liberties, our nation's core values. This loser, this friggin' loser, why are you willing to throw away the basic values of our free society? The right that we have, that even the worst of the worst have a right to an attorney. The right that the worst of the worst are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law and not guilty by decree. Why are we going to give away our values because of this evil, stupid kid and his stupid, evil friggin' brother? Why are you willing to give them away? I'm sorry, I'm not willing. We'll be right back.